On El-Nino preparedness in the country. It has been predicted by IGAD that from October to December 2023, we shall be seeing the El-Nino rains. Of course, the heaviest rainfall is expected in November, but it's stated that it should be starting from October. And in studio, I'm joined by Engineer Geoffrey Tirop. He's a Chief Officer for Nairobi City County. And on Zoom, I'm also joined by Chris Kiptum. He's a climate scientist from the Kenya Meteorological Department. Thank you both of you for, of course, making time. Engineer Geoffrey, just to start off with you again, we've already talked about what to expect when it comes to the El Nino rains in the country. But what is Nairobi doing to prepare for the rains that are set to be starting next month?
All right. Thank you very much again for having me here. I'd like to say that yesterday there was a meeting convened at the office of the Deputy President. It was a national coordination team that will oversee the preparation to mitigate the effects of the impending El Nino. Now, cascaded down to the county, especially for Nairobi City County, the governor has a Marshall Plan to ensure that the effects of the expected El Nino are mitigated. So the team, which is chaired now by the governor and co-chaired by the county commissioner, is cascaded into the 17 sub-counties. Under those teams, we have various rapid response teams on the ground. And also we have the Green Army, which I've said before. These are young people which have been recruited, totaling to 3,500. Their main objective is to unclog the drains so that we ensure that we minimize flooding, especially within our roads. So that Marshall Plan also has the rapid response team. The county has deployed ambulances, fire engines, and emergency personnel who will ensure that any eventuality the county should be able to handle. And the teams are working also with the public health officials to ensure that issues like waterborne diseases are addressed as soon as, if any, arises.
Right, thanks for that. Chris, just coming back to you, I know we've talked about mitigation and effects, but just for clarification, are we seeing the El Nino rains already happening? Is it set to happen in October? And also we've seen report that the heaviest rainfall will be November. So just for people to understand, tell us what to really expect when it comes to these rains.
So like I mentioned earlier, the rains are likely to start, especially for Nairobi and the highlands east, that includes the central highlands. That is likely to be the 2nd to the 3rd week of October. And normally in the season, the peak of the rains is usually in November, and the cessation is usually in December. But this time around, what we are likely to see is that this season is likely to be longer, and the rains are likely to cease in January 2024. So just like in 1997 and 2006, which are the analog years that we identified, similar to when I say analog, it means years that are likely to have a similar weather pattern like we have for this coming short rain season. 2006 and 1997, as well as other years that we have noted, include 2015 and 2019, as well as 1987. Those are analogous years, but the most likely are the ones in the performance in 1997, 2006. So in terms of the distribution, we are likely to see a good distribution, and we are likely to also see storms. And these are heavy rainfall days, which may lead to a lot of flooding for the low-lying area within the city and within the country as well.
Right. Thanks for that. Just coming back to you, Engineer Geoffrey, now, what is the role of the Central Command and Control Center, the County Hall of Nairobi, of course, in the implementation of the Marshall Plan?
All right. Thank you. The Central Command was established basically so that for ease of coordinating the emergency teams that are going to be deployed in the various sub-counties across the city, so that with the limited resources that the county has, it will be easy with a central command to deploy the equipment where and when needed. So right now, the teams are already on the ground, especially the environmental team, the environment officers. They're already cleaning the drains, and what we are coordinating from City Hall is to ensure that whatever the specialized equipment that they require currently is deployed to the teams. So that will also translate when El-Nino sets in to deployment of emergency response vehicles like ambulances and fire engines.
Yeah, because that was my next question in terms of what specific resources and equipments have been put in place to prepare for the rains. When it comes to also the Marshall Plan and to the drainage situation.
Okay. On emergency response, the county government has a sufficient number of fire engines. They can respond to any part of the city at the shortest time possible. We are working together with Red Cross. We have an emergency line, and then we also have the fire engines and the ambulances. And on the infrastructure part, which I'm in charge of, we are building the capacity. We already have the capacity, and we are increasing the capacity in terms of the equipment that we can deploy. We're already deploying to ensure that drains are cleared. The county has its own internal capacity to respond to damaged infrastructure like roads. We should be able to respond in the shortest time possible. We have a functioning asphalt plant for production of asphalt that can produce over 400 tons of asphalt in a day. We have paving equipment that we can deploy at the shortest time possible to ensure that even the emergency vehicles are able to access areas where they are required at the shortest time possible.
The shortest time possible, because my next question was how quick and how accessible is the response really going to be?
Right. So what we are doing currently in the public works sector, we have rolled out a program. It was initiated even before the El-Nino warnings were done. We are putting up food bridges across. We are starting in the first phase of rolling out 14 number food bridges, especially in the informal settlements. And we have been in discussions with the World Bank team. We are starting. We have actually initiated the phase 1 to open up corridors, the narrow streets in the informal settlements. That will also aid the emergency workers, especially. It might not necessarily be big enough to allow vehicles, but the emergency people can walk through those streets once we are fully upgraded in the next few months.
In terms of drainage, how many stormwater drainage hotspots have been identified in the city so far?
So far, we've mapped out about 463 drainage hotspots. However, it's a continuous process, and depending on how the rains will come, we will identify more. And our teams are ready in every corner of the city.
Right. But let's talk about now the people, the citizens of Nairobi. What can they do to ensure that the drainage system around them is well functioning and is actually okay?
Looking at what we are doing currently, the reason why the drains are clogged, let us start from there, is because of mostly mismanagement of our solid waste. So the first thing I'll request Nairobians is to ensure that handling, disposal of solid waste is done in an orderly manner, so that, as His Excellency Governor Sakaja had said, that we want a city of order, a city with dignity. So the city is dignified. The residents are dignified because of a poor handling of solid waste. So we'll encourage Nairobians first of all, to ensure that solid waste, we have teams. The county has procured contractors across the 17 sub-counties to handle solid waste. And we have designated points where people can place their solid waste, and then can be collected by our teams, both county teams and the contractors, and to be disposed in the right way. So number two, I would urge Nairobians also to ensure that if there is a drain in front of your premise, just make an effort to make sure that it is free-flowing. In the informal settlements, which is our biggest challenge right now, people are constructing structures on top of our side drains. And the effect will be that the water now, because the structures are placed there, and people are doing grocery shops, and then they drop the waste on the drains, they clog the drains, and then flooding occurs. So it's been our request. We have made good progress to ensure that those structures are removed. And we are trying as much as possible as the county to ensure that people are provided proper accesses. If there's an open drain somewhere and you need an access to your premise, we provide a proper access. But the illegal structures, let me call them illegal structures that are placed on drains, we've asked Nairobians, make sure those structures are removed. And the people who are living on the riparian areas, we've seen, especially the informal settlements in Mathare, in Korogosho, and many other, like the other day in Waruku, in Kileleshwa, we've lost lives because of people who are living very close to the rivers, along the Nairobi River. So right now, we are calling upon those people who are residing on the riparian areas. The county has made a plea to them to move to safer grounds. So that we don't lose lives.
But not everybody really follows rules, for starters. But at the same time, as the Nairobi City County, how are you passing this information, or how are you creating this awareness of information that you need to do this and this to prevent drainage, for instance? What are you doing about that?
That's a very good question. What we are doing with our teams, which are already on the ground, we want to handle the Nairobians with dignity, as instructed by the governor. So we ensure that we request you first that you move your structures. Where you cannot, we will assist you. The teams on the ground in the sub-counties, and they are up to door-to-door services. They request people to move their structures off the trains. And where the trains are fully clogged, we have the equipment, we deploy the equipment. We have flashing units, 5 in number, and they are able to unclog trains which have been clogged for many years. So first, we request the residents. Of course, as you say, not everybody obeys the law. Those ones are dealt with by our team of enforcement.
Okay. Now, beyond the El-Nino rains, is there any sustainable plan or measures in place to ensure that, for instance, the city drainage, lowers and it's not as bad as it is?
The Green Army that I talked about was, to initiate their recruitment, it was done way back, almost 6 months ago, before the El-Nino warnings came. So all these programs are not done because of the El-Nino, although they are just in the right place at the right time. So the Green Army that we have in place, the environmental officers which are now deployed across the city, beyond El-Nino, and will ensure that the drains are sustainably cleaned. And the reason why they are also called the Green Army, once we are able to secure the riparian areas of the city, that same team will be able now to, we will move ahead and have them also plant vegetation and secure the riparian areas. And also along the road corridors, beautification, and other environmental interventions that will make the city, of course, green.
Okay, maybe my final question to you now, just in terms of what the public works team is doing. You've really talked about a lot, yeah? But is there a way you can just highlight a few things that you would note for someone who's watching, that this is what the Nairobi County is doing?
So from the public works sector, we out there, we have a team from the county, the in-house team of the county. They do, first of all, making sure that we patch all the roads. We are working together with also the national government agencies like Kenha and Kura. For example, Kura has 22 number contractors across the city handling the roads and supporting our teams. The team for road maintenance, we've deployed about 3 teams across the city, and they're going around doing road repairs. Where heavy equipment is required, also we have sufficient. We have a good number of them.
Mm-hmm. I know I said my final question, but just to ask you from where you sit, do you think the meteorological department has given enough information? I know we're still trying to get to Chris, but do you think we have enough information from the Met Department with regard to the El-Nino rains?
Yeah, from my perspective, I think the early warning signs are there. I learned from the meteorological services that the year 2023 is one of the warmest years ever recorded. Mm-hmm. So based on that, we cannot, there's no other way other than to prepare for the possible effects of El-Nino. So it could be true. I'm a believer in science, and I know their projection. I think from what I have observed from their presentation is that there is very high likelihood